Donald Trump's explosive threat to wipe out an entire civilization in Iran has ignited a political firestorm in his country. It has sparked intense debate over his mental fitness and triggered a wave of calls for his removal from office. The pressure on Trump is increasing in Washington even after the sudden announcement of a 2-week ceasefire. More than 85 Democratic lawmakers have now called for action against the American president, with some urging impeachment and others pushing for the invocation of the 25th Amendment despite the temporary truce with Iran. Remember, many Democrats have made it clear that their demands are not going away. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has reiterated that the ceasefire changes nothing. She's also accused Trump of making genocidal threats and insisting that he must be removed. Lawmakers like Shri Thanedar and Jasmine Crockett have formally written to the Vice President and Cabinet calling for Trump to be declared unfit for office. Meanwhile, Representative John Lawson has gone a step further and introduced articles of impeachment against Trump. Representative Melanie Stansbury echoed that sentiment, saying that every available constitutional tool from impeachment to the 25th Amendment must be considered. Now, the backlash has not been limited to the United States. Global leaders have weighed in as well, and they've sharply criticized the language used by Donald Trump. Australian Prime Minister and French Foreign Minister have warned that such rhetoric is inappropriate and risks escalating tensions further.
I don't think it's appropriate to use language such as that from the President of the United States, and I think it will cause some concern, which is there.
Now, there has been a strong moral rebuke from the Vatican as well, with the Pope calling any threat against an entire population as unacceptable and saying that it raises both legal and ethical concerns.
Today, as we all know, there has also been this threat against the entire people of Iran, and this is truly unacceptable. There are certainly issues of international law here, but even more so, a moral issue for the good of the whole entire population.
Remember, this is not the first time that Donald Trump has faced intense criticism over his words. Just days earlier, a fiery social media post targeting Iran filled with expletives and direct threats of military action had already sparked outrage. Trump had defended his language, saying strong words were necessary to send a message. So what is this provision, and why is it suddenly at the center of the fiery political debate in Washington? Section 4 of the 25th Amendment provides a constitutional mechanism to remove a president who is deemed unfit to discharge the duties of office. It can be triggered by the Vice President and a majority of the Cabinet who formally declare the president as incapable. Once that happens, the Vice President immediately becomes the acting president of the country. The president can challenge this decision, but if that happens, the final call shifts to the Congress. Now remember, the roots of this amendment go back to a moment of national trauma for the U.S. The assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963 exposed a critical gap in the American Constitution. What happens if a president is unable to serve but cannot declare it? In response, Congress proposed the amendment in 1965. Section 4 was specifically designed for situations where a president is incapacitated but unwilling or unable to step aside. And as these calls grow louder, remember, impeachment is not an uncharted territory for Donald Trump. Remember, during his first term, he was impeached twice by the House of Representatives, first in 2019 over his dealings with Ukraine, and then again in 2021 following the 6th January Capitol attack. He was acquitted by the Senate on both occasions. In other news, Russia has issued a stark warning alleging that the European Union is quietly exploring the development of its own nuclear weapons capabilities. Moscow says this move could destabilize global security. According to Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, confidential discussions are underway within EU institutions to assess the feasibility of building a nuclear arsenal. Moscow says this despite public claims that such measures are purely defensive. Moscow argues that this signals a dangerous shift away from long-standing non-proliferation commitments. The statement also singles out Germany, claiming its scientific infrastructure could rapidly produce weapons-grade materials. Russian intelligence alleges that German laboratories could obtain sufficient plutonium for a nuclear device within a month, while enriched uranium could be produced in as little as a week. Russia has also accused EU leadership, including European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, of escalating tensions and risking a new global arms race. Moscow has urged the United States and other countries to intervene, warning that any EU move toward nuclear weapons would severely undermine the international non-proliferation system and threaten global stability. All right, let's shift our focus to India now. With West Bengal set to go to polls this month, a fierce showdown has erupted in New Delhi between Mamata Banerjee-led Trinamool Congress and the Election Commission of India. A TMC delegation had gone to meet with the ECI today to complain about some poll officials allegedly having links with the Bharatiya Janata Party. But the situation turned ugly as TMC leaders claimed that they were told to get lost barely after the meeting started.
I want to tell you what the election commissioner, chief election commissioner told us within 7 minutes of the meeting. Get lost. This is what the chief election commissioner told the Trinamool Congress delegation.
Now, India's poll body had a different version to this. As per reports, TMC MP Derek O'Brien started shouting in this meeting with the ECI, after which the Chief Election Commissioner, Gyanesh Kumar, asked him to maintain decorum. The ECI, meanwhile, took a swipe at TMC as well, but in an unusually sharply worded social media post. It stressed that elections in West Bengal would be free of fear, violence, intimidation, indictment and booth rigging. In response, the TMC hit back at the ECI, emphasizing that the upcoming assembly polls must be free from Delhi's control, political bias and double standards. On the other hand, the Bharatiya Janata Party has blamed the TMC for its rude behavior towards the Chief Election Commissioner.
इन्होंने बदतमीजी की होगी और डेरिक को तो आदत है जोर जोर से बोलने का। वो समझ रहे हैं कि राज्यसभा में जिस तरह जोर जोर से चिल्लाते हैं तो वहां चिल्लाए होंगे, तो चुनाव आयोग ने कहा होगा keep quiet.
But the TMC found support from key opposition parties. For instance, Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav sarcastically commented that everything will fall in its place if the ECI itself is disbanded. Aam Aadmi Party Supremo Arvind Kejriwal alleged that the poll body is taking instructions from the BJP. Now, this controversy, remember, assumes significance as the TMC has been at loggerheads with the Election Commission over the SIR, or the Special Intensive Revision of Electoral Rolls, which has led to the deletion of 9.1 million names from the voters' list. As a result, West Bengal's electorate has shrunk almost 12% since last year. The TMC has challenged SIR in the Supreme Court, opposing disenfranchisement of millions of voters. In fact, the TMC has claimed to have been unfairly targeted in this entire SIR process. 4 districts that have seen the largest number of deletions are Murshidabad, Malda, North 24 Parganas and South 24 Parganas. The TMC had secured 85 out of 98 seats falling in this region back in the 2021 assembly elections. Now, the Mamata Banerjee-led party has also raised concerns over a large number of Muslim and Matua voters being deleted. Last week, hundreds of people gherawed 7 judicial officers in Malda's Motabari for many hours and attacked them. These officials were adjudicating the fate of the voters whose status was called into question via the SIR. The Supreme Court not only slammed the state administration for its complete failure and inaction, it also entrusted the probe to India's National Investigation Agency, or the NIA. Earlier in the day, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee walked down from her house in a huge roadshow to file her nomination from the Bhabanipur constituency. She's being challenged by the leader of opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari of the BJP. Remember, West Bengal will go to polls in 2 phases on the 23rd and 29th of April, while the results will be declared on the 4th of May.